Welcome to Quantum Alchemist Master Podcast. In this space, we share our journey in the awakening and integration process without judgment, building an all-inclusive community of awareness, love, support, and full acceptance. Reminding you that you are the master, you are the healer, you are the medicine, you are a divine, infinite, multidimensional being. You are source in human form. We all are. Everything you seek outside of you is inside, inviting you to go within so that you remember who you really are. Step into your true potential, create your own reality, and contribute to the reality of the collective. The change starts with you. We're all one, and love is the answer.
Welcome, Mio, to the Quantum Alchemist Master Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. Great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Awesome. And where are you joining us from today? Because I really love to hear that.
Well, I'm in Madrid, Spain today. It's beautiful here. It's cold, but it's beautiful.
What's the temperature there?
It's like 38 degrees.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How's that change from Miami hitting you? You're doing okay?
Yeah, it's, you need to, it's an I'm adapting, but it's good. You just have to layer. That's the main thing. Just gotta layer. So but it's nice.
You and I know each other from different events here in the community and so on. But I feel like we never really sat down to kind of know a little bit about you on your backstory and how you got started on this path and so on. I don't even think I know are you Cuban? I don't even know where you're from. So tell us a little bit, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I am Cuban. I'm Cuban American. My parents are Cuban and I was born in Miami, Florida. So my parents left when they were younger. Around when the whole communist thing was starting, they were able to leave pretty early. They met when they were in Miami, and then it's when I was born. So yeah, born and raised in Miami. Went to college, studied English literature, wanted to be a writer. Got into through organic kind of osmosis. I got into event coordinating and event planning at an early age. And I started my own company doing that for a few years. Then because of my English literature background, I got into communications and public relations and marketing. And so that kind of all merged together into my career. And then eventually I started my path of self-work and inner transformation because I had spent the majority of my life miserable, unhappy, experiencing depression, and experiencing social anxiety, anxiety disorder in general, you name it. It was just a really unhappy place to be. I felt really isolated. I was the type of person that I could be surrounded by people and smiling and, having drinks and having a great time. But inside I was empty and lonely and miserable and anxious. And I just didn't know what it was until I started to go deeper and deeper and realize that biggest wound that I was carrying was the wound of when my parents divorced when I was 4 years old. So they separated when I was 4. And when my dad left, I didn't know, I was little. I was 4 years old. I didn't know what it really meant. But what I made it mean for me is that my dad didn't love me. And that's why he left. So I was carrying that throughout my entire life. So it would come out in my relationships with men. It would come out in my relationships with bosses. It would come out in my relationship with friends. It was the unworthy conversation. I'm unworthy of love. I don't deserve love. I'm not good enough for you to stick around. So let me just sabotage it now so that I can have the control, so that I can have the power and say that I made you leave instead of you left because you didn't love me. So, just kept repeating those patterns, and they got louder and louder and louder and more uncomfortable until I finally had to wake up and realize that this is not the life I wanted to live. And I needed to make a change within me. What I realized is that the common denominator in all those situations was me, because it was very easy to point the finger and be the victim for many years. I was a victim for many, many years. And so I finally realized that I was the one that was in all of those situations. And I had to, when you're pointing the finger, there's three fingers pointing back at you,
Can we pause for a moment there just to kind of really accentuate what you just said? Because just like yourself, myself, and I'm sure many people that are going to be listening to this, we are so quick to judge others, so quick to point the finger, so quick. And it is so hard. And I'm not judging myself. I have learned to have love and compassion for myself and how I viewed life at that point. But we're always outside of us. And we never stop to look within, right? The children, the career, this, that, we never stop to look inside. So I just wanted to kind of put a little parentheses there and invite everybody to look within. It's okay to feel. It's okay to revisit the wound. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to ask why you're repeating the patterns your grandmother, your mother, you are repeating, right? So sorry I cut you off. I just thought it was important to kind of put a little focus into that. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, because it's hard. Let me tell you, it was hard for me. I ran away from myself for years. Over 20 years of my life, I was running. I was running into the arms of other people. I was running into projects that didn't work for me. I was running into businesses and companies that weren't suited for me because I was just searching for anything outside of myself because I was scared to see myself. I was scared to see the truth or see that or get the confirmation that I'm right, that I am unworthy. Nobody wants to get the confirmation that you are unworthy. So you run from it, But what in reality, what I ended up realizing after so many years is that was just a perception that I had of myself. That wasn't the truth. So what I was running away from was an illusion. It wasn't the reality. And so when I was able to finally find that piece, and that's what I help my clients do is really realize that you are whole, perfect, and complete. You are a divine emanation of God. You are here to fulfill a purpose. And maybe your purpose.
There's my baby. I told you it was going to happen at some point. Angel, be nice so we can do the podcast. Go ahead.
And maybe your purpose, because a lot of times people are saying, what's my purpose? I don't have a purpose. I don't know what my purpose is. And, honestly, your purpose can be just living, just being in your body and living your day to day and being in the present moment and enjoying your relationships, enjoying your life, enjoying the food you eat, enjoying experiences. That is your purpose as a human being. Now, if you find a higher purpose, if you find a passion, something that you love to do, a self-expression, great, do it, express yourself, write, read, dance, sing, do a craft, do whatever it is that comes to your heart. But, go
a little deeper into what you just said. Okay. So I just kind of want to break that down because like many people, I also started to look and you just put it so simple, right? So I really want to infatuate the simplicity of what you just said. Okay. Because I've looked for God, source, emanation, presence, spirit, whatever, however you want to call it, doesn't matter. That's not the point. Okay. That awareness and that consciousness, right? Experiencing that spirit having the human experience. And we tend to look for that everywhere, right? And it is so simple. I mean, literally, I've done so many things. Like you wouldn't even believe. And just to come back to simplicity, to the present moment, to knowing that you're the awareness of the experience, the observer of it, right? And how this new information or this new ever-changing perspective, how you channel that through art, through whatever form of expression. It's beautiful, but it was never so hard and so far away. And, like you just said, worthy and whole as you are, as your core being of love, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Exactly. It's beautiful. But here's the thing. When we're unconscious of it, when we're unawake, they talk about waking up. When you're unawake, when you're asleep, basically, you don't realize that you are the observer who's having the experience. So you are so in the experience and you are so caught in your ego and your bodily your body. Basically, you're so caught up in your body's experience and your ego's experience that you don't realize that you are the observer who's having the experience, who's watching the experience happen. And so that's another thing I work with my clients, is like really understanding the ego, the body, and the spirit, and how all of that, ties in together. But once you're able to finally see yourself as the observer, and that comes through the breath, it comes through meditation, it comes through silence, it comes through doing these different practices, you're able to start seeing. It's funny because I call it like it's like a slow motion moment where you're in the experience, it's happening, and then you're looking at everything almost like in slow motion, because you're observing yourself doing whatever it is you're doing, and you're starting to make new choices. You're starting to say, oh no, I don't want to react like I used to react. I don't want to react from an angry place or from a frustrated place. I want to choose love. I want to choose peace. I want to choose happiness, and then you start making new choices while the experience is happening. I always say there's 3 levels of mastery. There's the first level is the situation happened in the past, and you're looking back and you're saying, oh, darn it, I could have done this. I could have done this differently. I could have, replied this way or changed, this way. And you're looking at it from the past. The second level is you're in the experience. It's happening, like I just said, and you're making new choices while the experience is happening. Instead of making the old choices, you're making new choices. And the third and highest level of mastery is the experience hasn't even happened yet, and you're already going into it transformed. You're already transforming the experience just by your way of being and just by how you're stepping into it. It just transmutes it as you step into it.
Wow, let's pause, because I love every time you say, everything you say, I just want to go deeper, but we'll do a pause here. Wow, embodying that consciousness as much as possible and choosing love as much as possible. I certainly go out of the pendulum, tons of time. But, through inner work, through all these practices, some of which you just mentioned, breath work being one of my favorites, meditations being one of my favorites, and alone time, right? Journaling, all of these things really changes your perspective or helps you. They're amazing tools to kind of help create neuroplasticity and help create new, like make conscious of the choices, right, that are running in the background of the programming. So just kind of wanted
right. Well, they bring you to the present moment. They center you. Listen, just because you and I are practitioners, facilitators, teachers, I come across this every day. If it wasn't for my practices, I would be the same as everybody. I would be just, floating around, sleeping and everything, But I come back to my practices every day, every day, every day. It's consistency with your practices. It's coming back to the present moment. It's centering yourself. It's breathing. It's remembering who you are.
Could you share with us what some of those practices are for you, or like maybe what your morning or evening routine looks like? And then I'll share some of mine. So that way maybe we can give the listeners a little bit of an idea of all the weird stuff we do, which are awesome.
Yeah, no, well, my work is never done. I live and breathe this work. My life is transformation. So not only do I teach it and create programs and guide people in doing it, but I'm always in the search and in the movement myself, in the movement of transformation. Even after this talk that we're having, I'm going to have a hypnosis session for myself, So I'm constantly doing different things. But in general, my practices, my morning practices are, I'm a student of the Course in Miracles. So I read that every morning, and I meditate for about 30 minutes minimum a day in the morning, sometimes longer if I have time. And I'll do my readings and I'll do my prayers in the morning. And then throughout the day, there's little moments where I reflect back to those readings and to what what opened up for me in that morning session. I'll refer back to that. Sometimes I'll take a picture of it and refer back to it throughout the day, because we need reminders. We're human beings. We need reminders.
Synchronicity.
Just because I teach this work doesn't mean that I don't forget it. I forget all the time. I get into my physical, I get into my ego all the time, and it's good to have that reminder to come back to. In the evening times, I'm more about like self-care rituals for me in the evening. So it's anything having to do with like taking care of my body, giving myself what I need, eating something healthy, whether it's giving myself a massage, putting on like, lotion on my feet and putting on cozy socks and like reading a really good book and like things like that fill my soul and that make me feel good and cozy is what I tend to do in the evening times. But, and then I'm also, in addition to that, I'm also just always doing things like I'll go to like I went to your breathwork session, I'll go to I went to Michelle Alba's sound healing session the other day. I go to sound healings, I go to breathwork, I go to hypnosis, I go to all different kinds of modalities because they all support in different ways, So it's really finding what suits you, what works for you, and being open and being curious, always stay curious because you never know what'll be that thing that'll just like click for you and open up another door that you didn't know was there that you could go into. And like, it's almost like cleaning house. It's like you go into the dark closet and you like clean the cobwebs, there's so many of those little hallways in our mind, in our consciousness that we can go into. And so different modalities help you reach different aspects, There's 4 quadrants of the mind, there's the superconscious, the subconscious, the conscious, and the unconscious, And so primarily we're driven by the subconscious, Sometimes we're unconscious. We think we're driven by the conscious mind, but our conscious mind has very little to do with anything. And so the subconscious mind is where all the cobwebs are. So if you could get in there any way you can, I highly recommend it. It's not going to be the easiest, the easiest ride, but it'll be worth it once you get those cobwebs out and you do the spring cleaning, if you will, because then you'll be able to have more clarity in your life, more focus, and more direction.
So again, let me pause and go into kind of break things a little. First, I want to commend you, and I love that about you, that you are very real. I know, not to name anyone in particular, but I know many people in spirituality or in this kind of sector where it's I'm an end all be all know all type of perfect being, source itself, although you are we're all learning, right? We're all and being open, being curious, right? Not limiting yourself just because you've been doing whatever it is for 20 years doesn't mean something else cannot support you or is not equally as valid of a practice. Right. I think it's always important to kind of listen to your soul and to what resonates with you and kind of go with that. All the books you read, all the seminars, all the courses, all the practices, they should essentially be leading back to you, not to the outside. That's my take on that. So thank you for being vulnerable about all of it. Like it's a ride, right? A crazy one too. So thank you so much for that, for that vulnerability and being vulnerable. It is one of the hardest things I feel, or at least it was for me and still is sometimes, being able to be vulnerable and making it public too, right? That takes a lot of courage. So thank you so much for doing that. I don't want people to think like just because we embody this and we do this every day, like, oh, you're perfect, you're never off balance, you're never questioning yourself or doubting yourself, or we're just like you. That's it. Exactly. From a different lens, from a different perspective, and trying to share whatever it is that comes across in our journey. Just sharing, maybe it can motivate, empower, help, whatever, somebody in their journey. So that's what it's all about. Tell me a little bit about what it is either that you're doing, projects you have upcoming, or what are you up to now?
Yeah, well, just real quick to touch on what you said, it's so powerful because, oftentimes people will think that I have it all together, or that, nothing happens in my life, nothing negative or nothing bad happens because I do this work and I have all these tools. It's on the contrary. Like, I come across issues all the time, every day. It's a constant journey. It's a constant path you walk on. But the key is to have the tools, and as many, I'm a reader. Like I said, I'm an English literature major. I've read every single book you could imagine. I devour books. But there comes a certain time that you could read as many books as you can, but it's all theoretical. It's all in your mind and you read it. But how many times have you read a book that's so good, that's so transformational, and you put it down and you go on with your life and you don't apply anything that's in the book. You even take notes, you even highlight, but you don't apply anything. And so how many times I did that in my life throughout the years, until finally I realized that I needed to go outside myself and find someone who was a few steps ahead of where I was, someone who had achieved something that I hadn't achieved yet, someone who had reached a level of peace that I hadn't achieved yet, and seek them out. Seek them out. That's the only way that I was really able to transform my life. If I would have stayed in my same little, circle, my same little hamster wheel, I would have never been able to learn the new tools that I needed to learn to implement and create the consistency and the discipline through mentorship, through coaching, through guidance that I needed to really uproot the things that were holding me back and really get to the bottom of things and transform my life. That's why I was taught how to go deep into the root. And that's why I go deep into the root with my clients. And so to answer your question, that's what I do. I created this coaching call. It's a one-time coaching call called the Pattern Interrupter, where we go really deep into the root of the patterns that you've been playing in your life and figure out why. And you get a really huge breakthrough for yourself in this call. You realize why you've been replaying a certain pattern, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in your jobs, in your career, in your friendships, whatever that may be, in your health, maybe. And you have a huge breakthrough. From that, the person can decide if they want to work with me on a deeper level. I have a program called the Resilient Self-Love Program. It's an 8-week virtual program. Right now it's for women. And I call it a mini boot camp for self-love. So any of you listening out there, if you think you know what self-love is, I guarantee you don't. I guarantee you don't, because there's so many misconceptions about self-love out there. And there's so many things that talk about and purport that self-care is self-love, but it's really, really a lot deeper than that. And in this program, we go into the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, the mental. It's holistic. It goes into everything in terms of what self-love is. And you really transform yourself from within. And I work a lot with the inner child. That's one of the foundations of my work, is going into the inner child and healing that 3-year-old, that 4-year-old, that 5-year-old that had that experience like I did when I was 4 years old and my parents divorced. If it wasn't for inner child healing, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so we really implement that in the program. We implement all kinds of things, mirror work, Louise Hay's mirror work, which is super powerful. That woman has an incredible body of work. I call her an ascendant master. So we apply that as well in the program. And it's such a revolutionary program. Most of the people that take that program, they come out saying that they're experiencing freedom for the first time in their lives. And so I'm really proud of that. I call that like my grand opus, that program is really, really special to me. It's something that really lights me up and I really love to do all the time. Right now, I have a program. I have a group of women going through the program. I have 3 women that are participating right now. And I'm just so excited for them because they're starting the year off with this work and they're really making transformation for themselves. And then I created, because, I noticed that women were taking the self-love program and that then they were seeking more. They were asking me for more and they needed more integration and accountability and discipline to really apply the tools that they learned and really make it more long-term. And I realized, because I'm on the journey of self-mastery, that I needed to create a self-mastery program. And so that's what I did. I created a 6-month self-mastery program where after you do the self-love program, you go into self-mastery, and it's a greater scale conversation. It's a higher level conversation. And we really dive into the ego. We dive into that observer that we were talking about earlier. We dive into universal law, spirituality, vibration, frequency, energy, which are all the things I love to talk about. We talk about feminine and masculine energy. We also talk about feminine and masculine energy in the self-love program as well. So you really get to understand yourself from an energy standpoint and how to navigate your energy and how to transmute and alchemize energy, which I'm really passionate about. And then once you do that, it's like you develop a toolkit, I call it. Develop your own toolkit. There's some tools that work better for you than others, and some tools, so you pick and choose the tools that you want from all the things that I teach you, and then you have those for the rest of your life. Because my goal is that you don't keep coming back to me. I don't want you to keep coming back to me. I want to empower you to be the best version of yourself and to be self-expressed, fully self-expressed, for you to walk through life knowing who you are, knowing what you want, and being able to express yourself fully. And so if I could do that, my work is done. So so that's what I'm doing now. And I'm also doing currently in Miami, Florida. We did the first one about a month ago at Om Beats Yoga. It's a little yoga studio on 8th Street in Little Havana. We're going to be doing bi-monthly circles called Cosmic Healing Circles, where I'm partnering up with a yoga instructor there, Santana, and we're doing like a 3-4 hour workshop, really holistic, really intense work to really break patterns and get people shifting into the direction that they want to go in.
When's the next?
So that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much.
The next one's going to be in February.
Do you know the date yet or not yet?
No, actually, I don't know the date. I should have had it already by now, but I've been traveling and
what I'll do is I'll put your Instagram, your social media, your website, all that stuff in the description on the podcast. So stay tuned, guys. I'm signing up. I don't know about you guys, but I love, interacting with Mio, learning from her. She's a wonderful teacher, mentor. So yeah, I'll stay tuned and we'll text each other. Just let me know when's the next one. I'll be there. That's so cool. I'm so happy for your projects. I always love supporting, spreading the word, because you really do embody the work that you teach and that you do. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for all the good stuff you've shared. I really hope it can empower, it can make an impact on the listener's life when they really take in the words and the frequency that you emit with your teachings and what we've shared here today. So thank you so much, Mio. It's been an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you. And, just for anyone listening out there, like when I was really in the thick of it, when I was really in the darkest time of my life, the one thing I kept saying to myself is, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. And I never gave up on that. So really, I'm just speaking to anyone out there who's hurting, who's in the darkness, who's asleep, who doesn't know the answer, who's in a loop. Just keep stepping forward, keep moving forward. Reach out to one of us, reach out to people around you in your community. Just keep seeking, because you will find the way. I promise you, you will find it. Just never give up.
Oh, that's a beautiful message to kind of wrap things up. Could you share, just in case people are listening and don't have time to read the description or something, your Instagram or social media, website, whatever you want to share?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So you can reach me on Instagram at Mio, MIO _ Santana, Santana. So that's Mio _ Santana. You can find me right there on Instagram. And then you can find me on my website at www.miosantana.com. Again, that's miosantana.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Mio.
Thank you so much, Rosie. This has been such a pleasure. I'm so honored, and I love all the work that you do. Keep on doing what you do. It's bringing so much light into the world. I'm so grateful to be your sister, to be on this path with you. And thank you for thinking of me for this podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. For more, follow us on Instagram at Quantum Alchemist Master.